Hi guys.
Hi. Where'd you go?
Yeah.
That's my secretary. That's my secretary.
That's your secretary?
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Oh, yeah.
For what? What's your business?
Pardon me. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
My
Hi, Denise, how are you?
I'm good, Gary, how are you?
All right.
Yeah.
Did everybody sign it?
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Wanna sign it?
Without you, please.
Yeah.
She's supposed to. Hey Gary.
How are you, Roxy?
Good, how are you?
All right. Managing every day.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Where's the pens? What? Pens.
They have bottles of water too if you want one.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, you want one?
Well, I. Thank you.
Yes.
I brought these copies for the board, but I only have two. I don't know if you want to make more.
I can make a copy. Yes. Oh, he's right there. Calling right now.
What's the number?
436-9286.
Hey, how you doing? Doesn't matter where we sit?
You can sit here.
I can. I don't want to sit here. This is Richard's spot.
That's too bad.
Okay.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm my mom today, okay?
Okay. Now it's to get a hold of Paul.
Did the other gentleman, did he apply for?
Yes, he is. He's on the board, but he's working tonight. He had to go into work 4:45 today.
He works.
Fraser, Twin Rivers. Yeah.
What's his name?
You're so beautiful. Is that right, Paul?
If you get a high chair,
You want?
Sardines? Carp?
Yeah, everything.
No, a bourbon, huh?
First,
Like
I
you're
it's a
eating
public
carp.
hearing. So we don't need more, yeah. So what you do is you call a public hearing to order.
Did you see the video
Basically,
of
gonna
that cat?
establish
No,
quorum, we don't
no,
need more
we had
public
a
hearing.
eagle landing in our pond
Determine
there.
conflict of
Yeah,
interest
we
arise.
something like that.
No way.
And then another
Consider
one.
administration appeal application
Right, so
for
you're just
redraw.
gonna, this is just, you're gonna hear stuff,
Right there.
Right in your
public
yard?
hearing,
You're right in the backyard.
and then
yeah.
you're gonna close, once everybody's had their say, you're gonna close public hearing, you're gonna open
Don't need to work hard.
public meeting,
Okay.
and then you're gonna act on
This is
Hey.
this judgment
I thought it
on
was
the
a
above
sand
mentioned
that turned
cases.
somewhere. Well, nice.
Which is Article
Yeah, well,
4.
once you cut the head out, doesn't make any difference.
I tried calling Paul, I texted him,
Depends who you are.
left him a message today.
And you guys even, did you guys
Cut the
even
head
have
out,
a
we're gonna
board
have to
meeting
use
last
it.
week?
Yeah, he said he was coming.
You did?
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
I mean, if you're on quorum on the public meeting, you won't be able to have a meeting.
Well, we can listen to the public, so,
You can do the hearing.
yeah, we can do the public hearing, but. So did you find your paperwork in the door handle?
You're the one?
Yeah, I go dropped it
Okay.
off.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just made sure that you got it.
Yeah, I was out of town now. I was expecting it in the email,
Oh,
but that's fine.
yeah, I went over, knocked on the door, nobody answered, so I rolled it up, stuck it in the handle.
Yep.
Off I went.
Good place for it.
That's it.
Uh,
I just made sure that the rain wouldn't get to it.
Spent some time at the lake.
Ah, there you go.
Now, those boys that you saw the other day?
Yeah.
At home? Yeah, well, I'm bringing them back tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Back to Arizona, yeah.
How was the ATV running?
Well, great, they loved it.
Really? There
Yeah,
you
they
go.
made a circle across the street.
Oh, on
they
James's
just-
property there?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's too bad you didn't have another one. You could take them out in the trails and
There's a lot.
They're
go on
I see
ATV.
them in your trees.
not at this point in time. Maybe next year.
Bang. Maybe he doesn't know how to fit. Oh.
Hello, Paul, you coming to the meeting? Okay, we'll be waiting for you.
He's just getting out of work or something?
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure, I lost some pages there, I just wanna make sure it's right.
Hey, we have one planning board member, Board of Appeals member still, en route. So, as soon as he gets here, we'll open the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
What's the last page?
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, so that's what
So
I'm
what's his
missing.
name?
Ed Bear.
Ed Bear? Where's he from, Pascal?
Missing
Bang.
two pages?
He's the town attorney?
Yeah, cause this is my last page here,
They're missing these.
those two.
Want this?
What's this with Venus and
Sure.
Ross and all?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get you there, but I missed two pages, hold on.
This is something I haven't seen.
No, we just got that. Mr. and Mrs. Care brought this in.
Okay.
I just skimmed over it.
I think I better turn my phone off. It is kinda loud.
Good idea.
Could be this year.
These two go on the back there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need the Brady's letter, this one. I'll put that aside, leave that. And you're gonna need this.
That's similar.
These two pages.
No. Sorry to take Are we? Wrong side of this one. Oh, well,
We start with this, building permit.
to clean this up, I'm also to clear brown.
No.
No. Yeah. And you should be another one. Oh, okay. Yeah.
What the heck is this all about?
But see, I think you ought to tell.
That's,
I think you need
It's
to
a
read this.
yeah, but that was,
This was back in 2017 with
Yeah.
Andrew.
that's a few years ago.
I'm still reading it there. I'll let you read this here, or I'm reading this one here. It's the bottom
Yeah.
part here that got me here. with lots of notes.
It's a contract, I think, yeah. You want me to see it?
Is it endangered right now? I got it blocked.
Well, is it very
Did you read that already?
Yeah.
Did you read that fast?
Is it nice?
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I said I've already gone down.
Oh, you've already read it.
Everyone's looked at me, that bad, I'll see.
So what's this about the permit still being good?
I would just wait till we start.
All right.
What?
Now, I got a question, you brought some water, okay, you
Oh.
bring a pizza too?
Yeah.
Or coffee?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything on there? All right, all right. Maybe I'm at the end.
Now, is there gonna be an exam after we go through this manual?
Yep. You gotta pay attention.
Did you have 14? What, did that 14? Oh, Será que olha Versant, será pretty popular one? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Well,
Just
Huawei. Versant?
I went there
Oh,
for.
you did, and you went right.
I think that's the best way.
Oh, yeah. It's like calling Spectrum there, you call Spectrum there, you get hooked up in Florida there with a phone
Yeah.
number. You go to the office and you get what you, good service too.
I've got two of those now.
You wanna check if it's in there? What, you have that open? Redial.
And it was like a couple days later.
Wait, was the right guy? You work for him? You work for him?
pages? That's pages.
Yeah, they save money if they cut those branches before they fall on the line. So it's not gonna go through that. With all of them on. Yeah.
More pages in this one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is he coming, or?
We're coming.
We'll get him. Where does he live?
Chris would,
Oh.
said he was coming right over.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, how long do we have to wait for you guys to have a quorum when the meeting has been announced for 5 o'clock? You know,
We're waiting for one guy.
I understand that, when we're 15 minutes into the
I know
the
that.
supposed,
I'm very much aware of that.
so I'd like to make a motion that this hearing and this meeting be canceled because of lack of Board of Appeals quorum.
He's actually on his way from what I know. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm giving him another 5 minutes. Actually, he just walked in.
All right, back to work. Over here.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
This side, this over here.
Well, he's sitting over here. We got him all buried over here in this corner. Something I was looking for here in
All
this
right,
one.
so you have your, you can call your public meeting. So Ed, we do have our quorum, so we can get back on. Yeah. Okay, Mark, you want to call your public?
Yeah,
meeting?
we're gonna call this public meeting to order here at, what time do we have? 5:15 on July 26, 2021.
Correction, it's a public hearing at this time and not a public meeting?
Yeah, public hearing, I mean, sorry. We're gonna open it up to the public. Am I correct, Gary? Is that how you wanna do this?
Establish your quorum.
You wanna establish a quorum first? We do have a quorum. We have all three of us over here. We have at least 3 out of 5, which we do have. Anybody have any conflict of interest or bias with the Kayers, or anybody else in the room for that matter? No, neither do I, so we're all set there. Now, this is article number 4, to consider an administration appeal application for Richard and Ann Kayer for a denied building permit application map 34 lot 20 in the shoreline zone by the planning board on June 2, 2021.
So I will say that we do have the town's attorney on with us today, and the Board of Selectmen had desired having the attorney on to do a sort of a play-by-play for how an administrative appeal works, if you will, in case there are any questions. So Ed, I will leave that with you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name's Ed Bearer. I represent the town of Madawaska and dozens of other towns and cities around the state. I'm going to participate tonight, not by no means a decision maker here. I just want to help you with any procedural questions that you may have, or any legal questions that you may have. If you've had a chance to review the materials, you know that Mr. Kayer and the town were involved in some litigation that dealt with the very permits that he is asking you to extend or reissue, if you will. So I'm here to answer your questions, not to run your meeting for you in any way, shape, or form. But if at any point you do have a question for me, let me know. I did send up to Gary, and I know he forwarded on to the board members an outline of how boards of appeals are to operate in the state of Maine. I did that, not assuming that you wouldn't know, but just hoping to be helpful in the event that you don't have so many appeals coming before you, that this is a rather routine thing and that you know all the rules and all of that good stuff. I'm really here as your referee, so if you have any questions about the rules, hopefully I'll be able to help you out with those. You were off to a good start. We determined we got a quorum. We determined that there are no conflicts of interest. Typically, these are not the types of public hearings where you have to take testimony from members of the general public. You are obviously welcome to do that. It's your job, Mr. Chairman, to limit anybody's testimony or comments to things that are relevant and germane to the issues that are before you. And with that, I will simply say that it'll require a vote of, I'll need to look at that. While you're conducting the meeting, if I understand correctly, we have a board of 5 members, but we have 3 present tonight. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. That's all I can see on my screen. I can see
Yep, there's only 3 of us here. Yep.
And Gary's hand moves every now and then. Okay, I'm gonna check your ordinance and see if it says that you could act tonight by a majority of those present voting, or whether it would have to be, in fact, a unanimous vote to be a vote of the board, so to speak. That's an ongoing issue that hasn't yet been resolved by the court. We have to look primarily at your ordinance and see if it gives us any guidance. So I'm going to do that, but Mr. Chairman, you're welcome to proceed with your meeting. Your decision tonight ought to be based on what you hear and read at tonight's meeting, not what you may have heard or read somewhere else. And to the extent that you have been approached by any other people who offered you their thoughts or opinions on this, it would be wise if you were to share what those thoughts and opinions were, so that everybody's aware of what you have for background information that might not be readily known to people. I don't mean you may have read a newspaper article, but I mean if somebody buttonholed you just today, for example, and said, hey, I understand you're just meeting, here's what I think you should do, here's what you should know for facts. If that's happened, let everybody in the room know that. Otherwise, we determined that nobody has a conflict. I assume that nobody has a bias, meaning that they have any ill will or bad feelings toward anyone participating in this process. It would prevent you from making a fair and open-minded decision. If that isn't the case, then you ought to acknowledge that now, so that we can figure out how to deal with it. Assuming that there isn't any of that, I think that you're ready to proceed, Mr. Chairman. And this is a de novo hearing, which means that you're not bound by just pieces of paper that may have been presented to you as the record below. You're welcome to take added information and added relevant information and consider it tonight and reach your own decision. That being said, I do know that you received copies of the planning board's minutes. The application was filed with the planning board initially by Mr. and Mrs. Kayer. I saw a photograph, a tax card, and I know you saw copies of 2 of the relevant court decisions involving this matter. If I've described what you've received accurately, somebody ought to make a note that those items are in the record, and I assume that Mr. Kayer has a copy of everything that the board has. Is all of that accurate?
I'm not aware of, first of all, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying. You should have been present here if you wanted to be part of this. Secondly, this is not a de novo hearing. Third, I'm not sure if we have a board of 5 people. I have never seen a board of 5 people on the Board of Appeals. Who else is a member of the Board of Appeals here?
There's only one other guy, and he's working.
One guy, so we're 4, not 5.
There's 4 of us
You're running on many
total.
issues here, and I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying.
Is anybody else having a hard time to understand me?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay. Okay. I may have misunderstood. I thought I heard when Mr. Kayer was asking that we start the meeting or not start it while we waited for somebody. I had the impression that maybe we had a 5-member board. If we don't have a 5-member board, then I'm not too concerned about the present and voting versus members of the board requirement. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll stand down now. If you have any questions for me, though, I'm happy to try to respond.
The other issue, this is a planning board appeal. The planning board of appeal is an appellate appeal, not a de novo appeal.
Well, I'm not going to argue with Mr. Chair. The planning board, as I understood it, was acting in its role as the appointed interim code enforcement officer, and it's a decision of the essentially of the code enforcement officer. I would think that it would be to your benefit that it be considered a novel hearing. But if you want to rely on just what was submitted in the record earlier, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm simply advising the board that from my understanding of the situation, the planning board is acting in its interim capacity as a code officer because the town was without a code officer when your application was pending.
That's incorrect.
I'm not going to argue with you.
That's incorrect. It's on the denial, not the denial of the permit application. They crossed off code enforcement officer with planning board chair. They weren't authorized to be a code enforcement officer. Only the state can authorize them to be code enforcement officer. They were not authorized. They were not sworn in as a code enforcement officer.
Well, to the extent that I may have misapprehended the situation, although I don't believe I did, I'm going to suggest to you, Mr. Chair, that if you want to proceed in an appellate capacity, that I think that is absolutely fine. That's your choice.
That's my choice, sir. What did you say your name was?
It's Ed Bear.
Ed Bear? Oh. Okay, good.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we have basically a 5-member board with one alternate member, but 5-member board, and we currently have the vacancy for the full-time member, 1 full-time member, and a vacancy on the alternate. So currently we are 4 strong on a 5-person board.
Okay, thank you.
So what are we gonna do here? Open this up to public meeting right off the bat here? How do you wanna handle this?
Public hearing.
Let's do a public hearing then. What was
You have to
your,
conduct a,
what was
you have
your,
this listed that
I
was
don't know if I
provided
have
to
that.
us? Was provided to us and to you.
Yeah,
Conduct
I don't know
of
if I have
hearing.
that. I may have it in here someplace there, that's what I'm looking for.
Let's just
I
follow
was
the
too
rules.
busy trying to absorb what he was talking about.
Mr. Chairman, what exactly is Mr. Kerr trying to establish here? What's the administrative appeal and what is he appealing? What's the appeal?
The appeal is the decision of what the planning board had decided on, what the heck date was that?
June 2.
June 2nd, 2021.
And what was that?
It was a denial on his building permits for that particular lot and map number and location up at the lake, at his property over there.
And what was denied?
His permits,
His permit, but what was he asking for at the time?
to get his permits back so he could continue building.
It was a permit to build the camp and the extension. Not
There's no
not
camp
the-
there, there's nothing there.
Not the camper permit. The
No,
one-
not the camper permit. It was the original structure of the property from back in 2008, going into 2012 and 2013. When he originally built the structure of the beam structures there that were built around the camp that was there. There was a camp
When he
there, a
didn't
red
build around
camp.
it- He didn't build around it, he destroyed it first.
This is the issue with this scenario. According to what I read back in 2013, 2012, back in 2008, which I got copies of all this, and what I read on this is that this piece of property, because it falls under shoreland zoning, which is part of DEP, which DEP is part of EPA, then it goes all the way up to Congress. That's where they get their powers from. Okay? When you're dealing with the scenario like this, with 100 feet from zoning, you gotta follow everything by the T. You can't be moving goalposts. And if you move a goalpost, then that's what happens. All hell's gonna break loose. Now, from what I read there, and according to what the planning board was back then, what they had said was that he has to stay at 50% structures on the property at all times. He can go up to 100%, go up to 120%, but not go below 50. Okay, well, he put up the original structure of the property, this new building glass house that he wanted to build. And then he pulled the camper out. When he did that, his property went from 70% dropped down to 20%. And triggered probably one of the neighbors to give Bob Willett a phone call, and Bob Willett did diligence and drove up there and noticed that the camper was gone. So now he's not at 50% anymore on the property, he's down at 20%. So if you've got a structure that's a $200,000 house that you're building, you've got 10 grand worth of concrete in there, you've got another 10 grand worth of steel or 15 grand worth of steel I-beams, you're not at 50%. You're at 20, 25%. And this is why Bob Willett ended up pulling the permits. And that's what triggered this whole catastrophe to begin with. Because he went under the 50%. Now at this point, DEP got involved. Now we got another fiasco with DEP. It's not what the codes in this book are saying. It's not this book that I'm worried about. It's what this is saying. This is what I got to satisfy with DEP. This is what this board has to satisfy. If I can't satisfy this with DEP, he can't build there. At all. And it doesn't apply just to him. It applies for the next 100 owners after him. In other words, no one can build there because he violated the shoreline zoning codes by removing that camper. It should have never been pulled out of there. It was fine to build around it like he had done. I saw pictures of it. He did a great job building around it. It was fantastic. There was no problem there. But left that alone, go build the garage. Because he had a garage. He had 3 different permits there. One was the structure of the house. Then there was a garage. If he would have gone there and did the garage and completed it, that would have brought him close up to his 100%, over 100%. Then he had a 3rd permit, which I can't remember what that was for. If he would have done that one, then go there, because it was in the planning board minutes that he wanted to remove the camper. They agreed to it. To remove it out of there completely. Make it disappear. Not keep a wall, not keep a floor, not keep the frame. Remove it completely, which was fine. But if he would have done the other 2 permits close to the end and then pulled it out, he would have never had this problem. Then he could have gone back to his glass house, built up his glass house, it would have been done. But when he pulled out the camper prematurely, the value of the property went from 50%, plunged right down to 20%. And that was the end of it. And that's what killed it. And this is where we have this. And the problem is, we just had a major meeting on this with MMA. I cannot override, this board here cannot override DEP. Not now, not ever. We cannot trump DEP. And DEP, the only way that he can get his permits, to be honest with you, the only way he can get his permits, which I'd be more than happy to sign him myself, is that he's got to get authorization directly from DEP to build it. And if he can get that from DEP directly, and they give him the blessings to go back and rebuild this property, I'd be more than happy to sign the permits myself for him. But until that comes, we can't. And if we go there and we give him a permit, let's say, you know what's going to happen? DEP is going to come up here. And they're going to not only arrest him, they're going to drag him out of there. They're going to tear down the place is what they're going to do. And guess who's going to get stuck paying that bill? From my understanding, the town of Madawaska taxpayers. And this is the problem that we're having with this whole scenario.
Did you receive the package that we got from the town?
Well, I got this packet here from the planning board. I've got this one here from your planning board meeting that you had on June 2nd, 2021.
First of all,
It's the procedures for Board of Appeals.
the
Yeah.
procedure, you get the page 5 of procedure. You see, first of all, public comment.
Right. But I was going into public comment, but Gary had asked me a question, and that's why I was answering Gary's question. It just got...
And you feel that you should answer Gary's question. Would you please read public comments?
Which one's that one?
Page 5.
I've got this one right here. Is that the one you're talking about?
Page 5.
I don't have that one. I don't see that.
What's the-
One of that,
All the
Oh,
way
it's in the back?
All the way in the back.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, the last page, actually, of the packet.
Ah, there we go.
Could you read it out loud, please?
Okay, introduction ground rules to the board's consultant. The exhibits submitted, including copies of the original application and relevant ordinances, brief opening statements if requested, all parties, applicant, okay, and then board members' questions, evidence, procedures by the town and or permit options, board members' questions, public comments, if any hearing closed, that's about it. I'm not sure which one you're pointing at.
Is that the process we've been using, we've been following up until now?
No,
would
we
you
haven't,
read
we
public
haven't,
com-
we
would you-
haven't, which I do apologize for that.
Would you read
Okay.
public comments, please? What, the Board of Appeals hearing
Mm-hmm.
is not a hearing, a public hearing, in the sense of a proceeding at which a board actively solicits input and opinions for members of the general public.
Right.
And here we are, we started with Gary Dufour
Gary Dufour.
interrupting this public hearing.
Right.
We have a
I'm
process.
I'm still gonna open this up to the public because I want to hear what these people in the back have to
So
say.
you're not gonna follow the rules.
I'm still following the rules, but I still gotta figure out what they want, what they're looking for.
This is called due process. We have the
Exactly.
right to due process.
Exactly.
And we're not following due process right
Okay.
here.
Which the board actively
This is
solicits
a public
input
hearing.
and opinions of the member of the general public instead is hearing held in public to determine the legal rights of these appearing before the Board of Appeals as parties. Concerned with the public comment
We have an
about
attorney
all-
here. You have the town
They-
attorney. Can he tell
They
us?
should be limited to fictional information or limited to the of a personal opinion concerning a desired result. Arguments or personal attacks have no place in the Board of Appeals hearing. All parties should be given a chance to respond to any new information or question raised by any public comments. Finally, all board members must keep in mind that their decision may not be based on opinion poll. Which is before the board, instead will be driven by the relevant decision by all parties. Unless there is a good faith. What's that? Oh, you were reading it too?
Yeah.
Disputes concerning, including copies maybe patient testimony should be answered. As no parties agree.
Mr. Chair, if I may. just
Go
offer-
right ahead.
If I may offer a suggestion, I
Go.
think that you made your opening statement.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, you would be up to, by all parties, okay? So you've made your opening statement, and if Mr. Kerr or Mrs. Kerr would want to make an opening
Can you
statement.
speak up, please? We can't hear you.
So I'm suggesting to the chair that at this point, he's made his opening statement. and
Where are the microphones up
you-
there?
The microphones don't work, Mr. Kerr.
No, they don't work.
Okay, so at this point, I think that the carers would be entitled to an opening statement,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then with that, there would be the presentation of evidence, and they would want to discuss their evidence that they submitted to this board.
I can't hear you. Now, I'd like to say something else here. Ex parte communications, you just started by saying you've held meetings already on this.
I didn't have any.
That's
meetings on
illegal.
this.
That's
What's that?
violation of our due
What's
process
that?
rights again.
It's the same things you have.
Where'd you read that? What were you saying about that? What were you just saying?
I'm just saying that at this point, you've made an opening statement.
Yeah.
Let him make his opening statement,
Yeah,
and then let him speak to the testimony that he's provided to the
Okay,
to the
that's
Board of
fine.
Appeals.
that's fine. So basically what Gary's saying, he'd like you to make your opening statement is what he would like to do. I made mine. Gary answered me, asked me a question, I answered him.
And you,
That was my statement. Okay, now you have an opening statement. You might have some other stuff in there that I don't know about, but I'm not being biased about this and I'm not making a judgment on it.
you've
So
already
I'd
made
like-
your judgment.
No,
You've
I did
had
not.
meetings and you've already made
No,
a
I
decision.
did not.
You've already said it. It's on camera.
It's just fine. It can be on
Ex
camera.
parte communications.
Okay.
Read that, that's page 2.
But what meeting are you talking about, Mr.?
He just said that he had meetings, he had discussions with DP and MMA, and they've discussed this.
We had meetings with MMA because we got to go through training. We all went through
Consequence
training.
of the board's quasi-judicial role is that the board's findings and decision must be made based on evidence that is properly presented to the board at its public hearings on the application or appeal concerned. Information concerning a pending Board of Appeals matter must not be received outside of the public hearing process. You've had months of this already. And you've
It
already
was not
admitted
received. It
that
was
you
not-
had discussions
No.
on this already.
No. We had
Board
an MMA
members may
meeting.
not receive, solicit, or receive information concerning the pending matter from any of the parties before the board or from members of the general public. You've already admitted you've done that.
No, I'm not.
If information is received by a board member for any form concerning a pending matter outside of the normal hearing process, the contact and the information concerned must be disclosed to all parties and to all other board members at the next public meeting of the board. And all parties must be given an opportunity to respond to the information concerned. Board members may not conduct their own independent investigation or drive-by to respect to the pending matter. You've already violated just about every rule for due process and our rights. And you've just admitted to it
No, I
before we
did
even
not.
start the meeting.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Mr. Bear, is that correct or not?
No, I think you're incorrect, Mr. Kier. I think what I heard the chairman say is that he recently attended a training session put on by the Maine Municipal Association. That would have nothing to do with a pending appeal. They didn't call that training session for the purpose of discussing Richard Kier's appeal. They called that to give the board a sense of how the state of Maine would administer or want its shoreline zoning ordinance administered, and in this case, the appellate portion of that ordinance. You're reading from a memo that my office has prepared and shared with municipal clients in the past. I don't want it to be read too literally. It's up to the chair as to the scope of the public comment that he might choose to take. I haven't heard anything that suggests, other than the MMA meeting, that there's been ex parte communications.
You didn't hear when he was talking about, he knows all the elements of this case going back 10 years, where we started, what we had, what we built. He just described everything before we even start the meeting. And you didn't hear that. You didn't hear any of that saying that he can't do this because he's talked to DEP and he has the DEP book, that we built a structure, that we removed some walls and we've added. He knows the whole history, and this has been dismissed with prejudice, and he's made an opinion that he cannot do anything beyond what DEP is going to allow. He has described everything that's happened in the last 8 years on this case. And he knows all that information, he just disclosed it.
Mr. Kier, I think that you should proceed with your